Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes on this very, very hot day. We're sort of coming towards the end of the day now. It's been an absolute hell of a day. And I've got to go out now and go and pick my wife up from the train station. Oh, dearie me. Anyway, we have got news of a U-turn. Humza Yousaf is going to have a U-turn. Now, normally, of course, this would be something we were ridiculing, showing that it was a failure of policy or that he's got something else wrong or some such. But this time, no. This time, we are welcoming the U-turn. He's finally seen the light. He's realised that in actual fact, what has to happen, and he has to give, what the people want. And in this case, of course, it is a public inquiry into the El Jamel surgery case, the debacle up at Ninewells in Dundee. He, of course, was calling just for a review, which has no teeth. It can't compel anyone to do anything. And everyone involved in this, from the victims' families, the medical profession, everyone wants a public inquiry. And for once in his life, Humza has done the right thing. Humza Yousaf has done the right thing. He's changed his mind, and he's announced that there finally will be a public inquiry. We'll just take a look at this, and it's probably the last video of the day, but at least it's something. We're going out on the day on a good note, on something that is very, very, very welcome. Certainly I welcome it. I know the vast proportion of people who've been following the story on here will welcome it, and of course everyone involved will welcome it. So here goes, we'll have a look. So it brings me great pleasure to read this headline, to be honest. Humza Yousaf announces yet another major SNP U-turn on El Jamel surgical scandal. But as I say, this U-turn is particularly welcome. The First Minister has announced that his government will now be launching a public inquiry into Professor El Jamel's surgical conduct and the NHS Tayside response. This guy, show the picture, this guy, not so much a brain surgeon as a tree surgeon. He was removing things that he should never have been removing. And he was going into parts of the brain he should never have been involved. He's caused injury, suffering, life-changing damage to patients, brain trauma. It's horrendous. The guy is not a surgeon. He's a goddamn butcher. He should never have been allowed anywhere near patients. Anyway, Humza Yousaf has announced that a public inquiry will be launched to investigate the actions of shamed rogue surgeon Sam El Jamel. This follows months of intense campaigning from victims who objected to the route favoured by the Scottish Government that would have resulted in an independent inquiry. It would have been a review, not an inquiry. The activists feared that wouldn't allow those at fault to be held accountable because they can invite them, but they're under no obligation to turn up. And then when they turn up, they're under no obligation to answer questions. Whereas a public inquiry, they must turn up. It is a legal inquiry. It is under the auspices of the justice system. They can be compelled to turn up, and they can be compelled to answer the questions. And that, of course, is the most important thing. And if you remember and cast yourself back when Humza Yousaf went to Dundee, and they had that little jamboree thing where about a dozen people pulled into the theatre there while he sort of explained how wonderful everything was. And there was one of the women there went up and basically accosted him, in the middle of his address. And he came over and he did speak to her and that. And I think that's possibly what's kick-started that. And I do hope that that's the case. I would like to think that he's listened to that woman and he's seen the facts. And he's used the facts for once in his miserable life to do something good. Pressure on the SNP to shift their stance reached new heights in the last few weeks, with one of their own MSPs, Jim Fairley, coming out in favour of a position change because he believed it was the only way to get justice. And I did the video about that a couple of days ago. He was welcomed at a dramatic protest outside Holyrood where victims posed in surgical masks, hospital gowns and fake blood. And that was yesterday. I didn't do the video on that yesterday. I just got so tired with everything. I did mean to, and then the day ran away, so we didn't get to it. But they made their point. So now I think that as well as everything else, has clicked in. It's a growing sort of momentum for this. El Jamel was in action between 1995 and 2013 before leaving the country and he's now thought to be practicing in Libya. You've got to think, poor bloody Libyans. You never thought you'd say that growing up, did you? Especially after what they did to Lockerbie. But, you know, these are different days. It wasn't the Libyan people, of course. It was purely Gaddafi, the mad dog. So, feel sorry for the Libyans who are being treated by this particular man. There are thought to be hundreds of individuals suffering from complications from botched surgeries. Hundreds, at least 111 that we know. Addressing Holyrood, Mr. Yousaf said, "This is a deeply important issue, and I can confirm the Chamber today that the Health Secretary, Michael Matheson, will use his statement in the Chamber this afternoon to confirm that the government had decided to commission a full, independent, public inquiry, and therefore under the judicial review system it is effectively a court of law that this inquiry is heading, and it therefore has teeth, and it needs teeth if we're going to get anywhere near the truth." And this is non-party. This is not a party political thing. This is a butcher put in place who should never have been there, with insufficient oversight, insufficient controls, and everyone involved needs to be accountable. Anyway, he said this comes after very careful consideration of the recent due diligence review, which said concerns about Professor El-Jamel were not acted on with the urgency they deserved. And commissioning an inquiry, it remains important that those people directly affected are still supported to find the answers they need, and that both staff and patients across Scotland know that lessons are being learned. This is one of those where the staff were concerned and the staff weren't listened to by management. It's another one of those. It is, again, a management issue. It's systemic. Mr. Matheson is due to expand on the announcement later today. His government had previously refused to change position on the grounds that they thought an independent investigation would achieve answers more quickly. These people have been waiting for 20 years. A few more months or even a year or so isn't going to change anything. They want answers, not expediency. This follows confirmation via report that the health board put patients at risk. After ignoring external warnings, he was a poor doctor. He was in fact a piss poor doctor, it must be said, and someone's come in downstairs and you can hear the dogs going bonkers, but I apologise for that. NHS Tayside carried out due diligence review into Professor El-Jamel, who it employed as a consultant neurosurgeon at Nine Wells from 1995 until 2014. And then he was fired. He had to go. They finally have had enough of him. Anyway, I shall finish there. I shall round off and I shall come up. So yes, finally something good. Something good has come from Humza Yousaf. I think it's the first time, and I honestly do. I mean, I can't think of any time before now where he's done something and made the right choice. I'm not just being hyperbolic about this. I actually cannot think of another time when he's made the right choice. I think this is the very first time, probably in his entire political career. So, for once, and possibly the only time, well done, Humza Yousaf. You got it right. Keep it up, lad. Thanks for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I get the idea that this might be his only time. He's going to be right. I think he'll be wrong again soon. Bye.